everybody, this is Cindy Allen, and Happy New Year! And it couldn't come quick enough. Goodbye 2020, hello 2021. Welcoming everybody to a wonderful and a better new year for sure. So we're going to kick off this new year today with an at-home and a very special friend and huge talent, Will Meyer. He is actually one important half of the firm Meyer Davis, an award-winning multidisciplinary design studio founded by Will and his other important half, Gray Davis. They are New York-based, specializing in residential, hospitality, retail, and work environments. And today, we're getting personal as we head out to Will's weekend house in East Hampton, New York. And we'll hear about renovating this mid-century treasure and about their new brand called William Gray that was honored over and over again at our Best of Year Awards. Hey, Will, how are you? So happy to see you.
Hey, Cindy, great. It's great to see you too. And happy to be on this first edition of your show in 2021.
I know, it's so...
Goodbye, 2020.
Goodbye, good riddance, goodbye. Everyone did great. Let's just move on to a much better new year for sure.
We're with you on that sentiment.
Yeah, and you know, everyone's been so curious about how people are living, right? And you know, you Zoom and you kind of catch a glimpse, or you see a kid running by. So it's really lovely to have these stories about how people are living. And this one, you know, this one is a weekend house, but it's definitely a treasure and something that I remember you telling me about when you first sort of spotted it before you bought it.
Well, it's, as you said, it's a weekend house, but during this past year, 2020, we actually spent a lot of time there, living there.
Yeah.
And it turned into what we thought of as a weekend house became a great house to live in and work in and be, if you can call it being stuck in, was sort of a special time period. So we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know, that's the funny thing. So like out in the Hamptons, because I'm out there now too, like all of our weekend houses have turned into something else, right? But yours was kind of set up in a good way because you did a really beautiful renovation that went from this artist's retreat mid-century gem to like a family home, right? So tell us a little bit about the discovery of the house and the history of the mid-century beauty.
So I think I remember actually talking to you about the house when we first found it. Yeah. It's a great piece of architecture by Hugh Newell Jacobson. I think it's one of the first houses that he built or designed back in late 60s. And it's kind of a style that he originated with these sort of these gables that sort of shift. And so it's almost like a sawtooth with these triangular windows. And it was something very simple about the pure form that he was exploring that we were drawn to. The plan, I mean, clearly, I think he was designing it for this sort of weekend utopia getaway.
Right.
Our challenge was to turn this house into something that was, you know, good for a family and good to be in a little longer than a few days.
So you spotted it, and it's in the Springs, which is a very particular sort of like, it was kind of an artist community in, you know, way back when, right? And curiosity got the best of you, right? When you've kind of discovered it.
Well, I kept driving past this for sale sign, and it was down towards the water. So eventually one day I couldn't help it. Right. I just drove down the driveway and found this amazing home, but it was very run down, I have to say. And to the point where I was nervous about getting into this project, but I knew it was special. The wetland setback kind of went right through the living room, and I think that's what had sort of maybe discouraged developers from taking the property and building a McMansion on the property. So
right, and so for everyone out there, you know, like that's the thing. There are these little mid-century treasures out in the Hamptons, and most of them get bulldozed down. And so even just keeping that history for all of us design people, that was like, yay, he's saving it, right?
That was important to me. And having worked for Charles Guathmy, and appreciating that era of our architecture that seems to be, being lost by the day. These houses get torn down, and I thought it was a little bit of my architectural duty to preserve this special house and be a part of that history, and preserve it for future generations, to not forget what a special time period it was back in the 60s, early 70s in the Hamptons.
Yeah, and so you decide, okay, we're going to get this house, and then it's like, oh my God, now what am I going to do with it? So on one side, obviously, is the waters, but it's also the wetlands. But tell us about how you like kind of honored the building, but then allowed it actually the addition to be the addition, right?
Yeah, so that's a great point. So what we did is we completely preserved and restored the original structure by putting new shingles and on the roof and siding. But everything we did that was new, we made white. So it was very clear what is new and what's old. And I think our work is so much about that sort of tension and dialogue between finishes and old and new, and that contrast that makes something stronger. That this house is a study in that sort of dialogue. So we were able to make all the additions white, and then everything else is this natural shingle, cedar shingle.
Right. And like when you come up, so I've been to the house, so I'm lucky enough. So, but when you come up to the house, you're sort of welcomed by this beautiful modern house. And it's like when you turn, if you're looking at images and you turn and you see the back of the house, that it shows all the shingles, but somehow it feels completely seamless.
Well, thank you. It's I think we just made a kind of a set of rules about how we proceeded with the addition, where it's meant to be inviting. It's meant to be its own language. And sometimes you set these rules up and they work, and sometimes they don't work.
Right.
So we were fortunate that it worked, but it also, I think it works because subliminally it makes sense. And I think you don't always know what it is that makes sense, but I think that rationale tends to take root and make sense visually.
Yeah, one thing that I was surprised about was, and we want to ask him what he was thinking, but you were saying that the south wall, so the wall that's looking out to the water didn't have what we see now, which is expansive windows, and it's actually sliders that you can walk right out. Like, what was he thinking?
Well, that wall, it was a series of these sort of French doors, but it was more closed off than it is now. So opening that up completely made a huge difference. And the wall that faces out towards the meadow, that was a solid wall. And the first thing we did was I had the contractors take a saw and just cut this big square out. And I remember I helped them push the wall out, and it was just it was like exhale moment, like, okay, now we know why we bought the house.
Unbelievable. That's so beautiful.
And so to enhance that moment, we actually did this kind of glass window box that protrudes from the house. And I've noticed people exploring the house for the first time, they always want to sit right there. It's the first place that people go. So unfortunately, I rarely get to sit there because everyone else is.
Right. Get out of my way. I cut that hole. I want you to know, right? Yeah, that's so wonderful. And just sort of like kind of imagining how the house just started sort of breathing again. What was the time frame on the renovation?
So it's interesting. What we did was we bought the house in like May or something, and we we moved right in it.
Yeah.
And we were only able to do just a few things that first year. And then after the summer, then we started back again and added the pool and the addition and all that. So we had one summer to kind of, they always say live in a house before you completely renovate it. So we sort of did that and kind of both and. But we realized, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, plus I can imagine, so you like bought it in May. That's like prime season. You got to get out to the Hamptons for the summer.
We
get there, right?
have a choice. And it was kind of a blessing to be able to live in it, even though it was we basically had no kitchen and a few other things were not working. But it was good to benefit from actually being in the house.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Okay, so let's like act like we're entering the house so that we can kind of describe the experiences. So first of all, there's a beautiful horizontal slatted gate, right? Or wall. What do you call it?
There's I would call it like a slatted kind of semi-transparent wood wall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what we wanted to do there is create a sense of threshold so that you can open that and enter from outside into another outside room. But this is a little bit more private. Our pool is there. So these varying degrees of public to private. So it's nice to kind of have that, interior outdoor courtyard buffer zone. And then we have this big, blue, of course it's blue, door, front door. And when you open that, you get this amazing view straight through the house, out to the water. Best entry experience.
Right. And, it's sort of, even the way you describe it, it sort of reminds me of like how you think about your hospitality work too, sort of like making an entrance and then letting things unfold. And also because you have the water on the other side, but I'm sure there were issues because you have the wetlands and like you want to have a pool, right?
We had to have a pool. And we only had a certain area that we could actually build on. So, and I think, that sort of head scratcher for other people became the aha moment for us, where it just made sense. You wouldn't want a pool on the other side of the house because it would separate you from nature.
Right.
So that's where the pool should be. And that's where the only place it could be. So it kind of worked out all the way around. But when you brought up the way we look at hospitality, it's something that we do, and I think great hospitality designers do this, it's the creation of anticipation, and creating theater in a subtle way where you can't wait to see the next thing.
Right.
And layering spaces, glimpses of other spaces, and teasing what's to come. And I think that's sort of what we do.
So there's the gate, the beautiful gate. Then there's this really lovely pool area, and you haven't even gotten through the front door yet. And then
that's what you see when you walk in. And an interesting little factoid about the pool, so the groundwater was at like 4 feet below or 3 feet below the ground, and the pool can't go below that point.
Right.
So the only way to get a 4'6" deep pool was to raise the pool up. But by raising the perimeter of the pool, it made a perfect place to sit down. So it's at 18 inches and it goes around the whole pool. And we made that out of this sort of beautiful gray stone that we found. And, I've noticed people walk in and some will be drawn to the front door, but most will kind of go around and just sit on the edge of the pool and have take in the view.
Yeah,
so it's a good social place too.
Yeah. Well, you know how to create social spaces, that's for sure. So then you walk in, and it's kind of interesting that on sort of the square footage, which isn't ample, seems very, very natural that you were able to create a very big kitchen and lovely dining area going into the living room that looks out onto the water.
That's how the sequence of spaces worked. And I think one thing that I love about the house, it was an idea that we had when we designed it, but it really works, because you step up to get to the pool area, then as you enter the living room, the kitchen and dining, it continues to step down. And so there's this nice
Yeah.
topography to the zoning of the house, which I think works really well. And also it works from being on the front of the house facing the water. There's this really nice continuity through the house back to the pool side. So it works well in communicating between spaces.
Yeah, it really does. And it seems very, very natural. I didn't realize that so it had been for an artist's family or an small artist's house, right? That there was a studio that you were able to then create the master. So like, tell me about that.
Yeah, so when they first built the house, there was this large studio that was directly behind. There were 3 small-ish bedrooms and I think 1 bathroom originally. And there was this giant studio right behind the bedroom, the main bedroom. And I think, I think it's everyone's dream to have a studio where they can paint and create.
Right,
and it's my dream too, but a master bath became a little bit more important to us to have. So it was in a perfect location for that. So we converted that to this really beautiful, serene, kind of quiet master bath. With a beautiful, we did a sort of align the tub and the shower and had this giant picture window that looks into the woods from there, which we love too.
And a hanging swing? Was there a hanging swing?
There's a hanging swing. That's in the guest suite.
Guest?
Yeah. So the key spaces we added to the house were the kitchen and the guest suite. And I always like to make a guest suite where they can have their own entry. So you can come and go when you want. You don't have to bother us or anyone else. And you feel like you're not in the middle of the rest of the family. So, and it's a nice big room with a hanging chair swing. You have a private courtyard and a big bathroom. So it's kind of, guests love it so much that they never leave.
Exactly. Now, when I went, so I don't know exactly what was completely done because it wasn't all done. But I remember like going upstairs and seeing one of the kids' bedrooms and something high, I think
that when you visited was when it was sort of that early half done stage.
Yeah.
And so we made the kids' bedrooms up in the eaves where they had their art storage. That was that zone that really made a kind of a fun kind of treehouse kids room. So when we design kids lounges in our hospitality projects, we took some of those ideas, made this little ladder that they had originally for the art storage. We preserved that and made it this little ladder to this little crow's nest where they can climb up and look out over the water from this little high perch.
Okay, so I'm not crazy because I remember going up somewhere high. That's all I remember.
That's exactly what it is, and it's a perfect little perch. And when you go up there, you're up in the treetops, and you look out over, Girard Point and Laos Point. So it's kind of a great little spot.
That's beautiful. All right, I want to talk about the furnishings because you have such a beautiful hand and a beautiful mix of many different types and styles, but always with this like lovely chic aesthetic. So you go down into the living room, there's this beautiful gray stone fireplace, but let's talk about some of the furnishings and that art, which is really
the furnishings. We have beautiful B&B Italia sofa, and that sort of grounds the room. And we did this sort of gray study where I wanted it to be all textural and tonal, and then let other pieces sort of pop. So the other pieces are we collected these Kari Klimp safari chairs that are original back from the 30s. We had found those in Sweden in this little shop and brought those back. And then we had these future perfect round nesting tables that sort of ground the center of the room. And the room feels very serene, peaceful, grounded. We found this really beautiful vintage Milo Bauman swivel chair piece that you can either swivel out and look at the view or swivel back and talk to your friends. And that's right by the fireplace, so you can be all cozy there. The room is punctuated by a diptych of Enrique Batista pieces that are actually my father-in-law painted them. And he came to our house and actually painted those in our house. So it was great to hang those and have those be, in an area like the Springs that's known for its rich abstract expressionism, hotbed for that movement. It was nice to have Enrique come and personally paint those there in the Springs and that beautiful light that's there.
First of all, that's amazing. And those two pieces, they kind of say everything about the house. Do you know what I mean? It does. It has that mid-century, the very cool aesthetic. It's modern, that graphic punch, but like very, very like edited. It's so special in that house, those two pieces, right?
I like them because they're punchy and still cerebral. Mm-hmm. And they're highly edited. It took Enrique a week to paint those, and it was him studying and measuring and thinking, and you think they look so simple, but that's probably why people are drawn to them, because they're pretty fine-tuned.
Yeah, and wherever you are on the ground floor or outside looking in, you sort of like, you see that, and it's like an exclamation point. Yeah, it's really special. And the fact that it's your father-in-law, oh my God, amazing, fantastic. And then, so then you walk out, and then you have this beautiful area looking right onto the harbor, right?
So you walk through the house, there's a beautiful view out to the harbor, and there's a little trail that goes out to a dock that's on the water, so you can walk down and paddleboard and enjoy nature. That we share with our next door neighbors, and it's a little slice of heaven. We love it. We like it too because with everything being so built up in the Hamptons, it's next to a large nature preserve, and I feel like when you look out the window, it looks the way it would have looked 100 years ago in certain ways, and I think there's too little of that left there.
Yeah. Well, we're so, we feel so, delighted that you've been able to save and preserve that piece of history in such a beautiful, sensitive, and designy way, right?
We're happy to have done that ourselves, and I think people do, when they visit, they appreciate that sort of sense of yesteryear, which I think people really enjoy that, even though, you can have amazing new houses that are like sit proudly on the land, but there's that sense of history that we love to preserve. And I think it's, again, subliminally, you appreciate that sort of that lineage of the arc of modernism.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for that. Okay, now I don't want to end without talking about William. First of all, a partnership, like finding a good partnership is everything. I'm always so enamored when I have relationships with like really good partners in design, right? Because it's hard to come by, and when you do, it's good, it's really good. And you and you, the two of you, are so special as design partners. So the thing is that you also have this great name together, right? So you have this new collection of different collaborations called William Gray, which is like so good, right? So even the name works. But tell us about, you do a lot of hospitality, so I'm sure you're doing a lot of custom work. So let's talk about these collaborations and what's come out of it.
So we have designed thousands of pieces of custom furniture. Okay. So over the years, we just thought we should do something with this. And originally, when we named our company Meyer Davis, we were thinking, what if we named it William Gray? And we decided against it. And so when this idea came up for the furniture line of products, we thought, when you do products, you kind of want to step out of your self and what we've established at Meyer Davis. So we thought it was an amazing opportunity to create a character or a muse. So this character is William Gray, and he likes, to travel, and he likes to collect things. So that was the sort of line of thought with the furniture line. So at William Gray, we've made these amazing collaborations with Cellarworks, Claybrook, Watermark, Contardi Lighting, and Rich Brilliant Willing Lighting. And they're all people that we've done lots of projects with and products with. And each line has its own kind of look and feel, but together they kind of come together with William Gray and create this kind of amazing world that's our collection.
So why don't you give us like kind of a snapshot of what's just come out and share it with all of us?
So we were originally going to launch at Salone,
right? And
that got canceled because of obvious reasons. And so we put that launch off until this fall, till recently. And so now the products are out there. We have, well, this is the Teddy chair that I'm sitting in right now.
I love the Teddy chair.
It's the sort of mini contemporary wingback with super slick lines that is really graceful and beautiful. So with Stellarworks, we have a really iconic chair called a Hugo, which is a beautiful kind of dining chair that we do. And Hugo with arms, without arms, Hugo Slim to go in restaurants that are kind of tight spaced. And then we have the Fold collection, which is a Teddy and the Ottoman and a daybed. And we have the sofas that sort of complement those, the Varick. And we also have, I think we have 20 plus pieces of furniture with Stellarworks.
Wow.
So they're all really beautiful. We design them kind of the old fashioned way, where we literally just took pen and paper out, sketched, and used watercolors to find these pieces. The way you sort of find a piece of furniture is just by sketching it over and over again, prototyping it over and over again. So after many trips to Shanghai and the Stellarworks factory, these pieces they're out there and they're beautiful and people really love them, and it's just nice to see them, the reaction of the design world to these pieces.
Yeah, no, amazing. And so that's the furniture. Is the bath coming? I saw beautiful illustrations.
So the bath, the vanities and the bathtubs, those are with Claybrook, and we were very fortunate to win the Best of Year award last year with those.
Yeah, amazing.
And the faucets and all the plumbing fixtures, those are Watermark, and we have prototyped those, and they're renderings on our site, and now the prototypes are done, and those are on our website too at mrwilliamgray.com. So you can see those, but they're highly edited, but very strong in their lines.
Beautiful. And by the way, all the Stellarworks was like, I don't know, was there 3 or 4 honors? I mean, you did get a lot of recognition.
We were so happy to have those honors.
Yeah, it was amazing.
In many different categories. So
they were in so many categories.
Thank you so much. They're beautiful, and when things open up in the spring, we're thinking they're going to be on display. And the Stellarworks has a new showroom coming in Tribeca. So this is not a part of their main line. They have their special lines with Brightliner, this Ivory Coast company, Mr. William Gray, which is our company, and they'll be rotating in and out of that showroom in Tribeca.
Oh, that's great. And they're a wonderful company. And to see that level of craftsmanship is really wonderful on piece after piece after piece.
Retro, who owns Stellarworks, he's such an amazing creative force, and he is so has such energy for design and appreciation for design. When Gray and I visit their factory to look at prototypes. It's so interesting to see the pieces that Neri and Hu were doing, and
Yeah, exactly.
Rockwell is doing, and that Space Copenhagen, they were there when we were there, and
Oh, really? Wow.
we
Amazing.
all got to hang out and have dinner and look at different new pieces and prototypes, and give our advice to each other. It's just he's really got this amazing stable of great designers that are really inspiring to be with.
He does. He does. So first of all, a huge congratulations on that. And also on your amazing partnership with Gray. You guys couldn't be nicer and more talented and successful, and all those things that you want is packaged up in a beautiful bow at Meyer Davis. Will, you're so special. First of all, I wish I could be like at your home hanging out, but if not, this will have to do at home the virtual way on DesignTV. So thank you.
Cindy, thank you so much. It's so nice to hang like this, and I look forward when we can do it in person.
I know, me too.
And it hopefully won't be that much longer. So, but it's an honor to be on your show at home to start off and kick off a new 2021.
Exactly.
And we're happy to keep this our industry and our arc forward. So.
Exactly. So for everyone out there, like, again, happy 2021, kicking it off in an amazing way with Will Meyer Davis. And we're looking forward to a much better year as we get to the other side and move design ahead. So big virtual hug. Love you. Love you.
Love you too, Cindy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.